Now, these Reddit stories are meant to be true. Whether you believe them or not is entirely up to you. Thank you very much for choosing my video to chill to. Relax, my friends, settle down and enjoy. I heard breathing that wasn't mine when I was trying to sleep. Context: this happened a few years ago. I, a 23-year-old female, was 19, living with my grandma at our 5-acre forest property in Colorado. It was just her and I living there, and we slept on different floors of the house. Her living in the master bedroom upstairs, and me living in the bedroom on the ground floor. I don't believe my room was ever meant to be a bedroom. It didn't have a closet, it had a door directly outside, which I always kept locked, and the breaker box was on the wall above my dresser. My room also didn't have a ceiling fan or window unit, and the house itself was old and didn't have built-in AC. Yes, it was pretty toasty during the warmer seasons, but it's Colorado, so it's dry and didn't usually get hotter than I was already used to, having grown up in Texas. Now, my recount of what happened. I play a lot of video games, which is a hobby that usually keeps me up fairly late. One night around midnight, I decided to log off my game and go to bed. I turned my computer off, did my usual nightly routine, and then I laid down on my twin bed in the corner, facing the wall. I have always had some issues with falling asleep. Some nights were worse than others. I could be laying down for hours at a time with my eyes shut, but sleep just wouldn't get there. This was one of those nights. After about half an hour of laying there, my eyes shut, sleep not finding me, I started hearing the breathing coming from behind me, like unmistakable heavy breathing. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Repeat. At first I thought, or rather made myself think, it was just me, because it was matched with mine. But it was so sudden, and it didn't quite sound right. Again, the sound was coming from behind me, and it was really deep. In any case, in attempts to rationalise it, to see if just maybe it was actually me, I slowed down my breaths, and of course it felt out of sync. It definitely wasn't me. By this point I was too scared to open my eyes, or even move. I didn't want whatever it was to know that I was awake and aware of it. Before anyone asks, it wasn't my grandma either. Not awake, not sleepwalking, not at all. I know that because I didn't hear anything at all before the breathing started. No doors, no rustling, no movement. It was just me laying in my bed, trying and failing to fall asleep. No creepy stalker was under my bed either. Under my bed was my primary storage area since I didn't have a closet, so it was loaded with boxes and crates. Even I couldn't fit under there. And I'm tiny. As I said before, I didn't have a fan or a window unit or even AC at all, and my computer was off. There was nothing there that could make the sounds. I don't want to say it was a ghost or some kind of cryptid, but I can't think of any reasonable explanations for it. I heard the breathing a total of 3 times. Once about 2 weeks after the first time, and then I didn't hear it again until about a month later. After that, I started wearing headphones to bed and listened to whatever, just to ease my mind to sleep. To this day, I still don't know what was going on, but I have since moved and I haven't heard it since. The basement door. We moved into a house right after my 10th birthday. I am the second oldest of 7. At the time there was only 6 of us. When we moved in, my younger brother was incredibly scared of our basement. Every night before he'd go to bed, he'd lock the basement door and the back door. That's in the kitchen right next to each other. We were all making fun of him, like siblings do. After a couple of years, I soon learned why. My next door neighbour ran a daycare. Our bus stop was about 4 blocks from our house, and we walked with the daycare kids and had to leave by 7:15 a.m. My dad had to be at work by 7 a.m, so he'd wake us up before he left. Our oldest sister stayed at a friend's house, so this particular morning, my brother Buddy and I were the only ones up in the house. We got around and went to the kitchen to make our lunches for school. In the middle of making our lunch, we heard a knock. We both went to the back door thinking one of the kids was trying to scare us. We looked through the door windows and no one was there. After a minute, we went back to making our lunches. A couple of minutes later, we heard a knock again. At this point, we felt uneasy. We both went back to the back door and still, no one was there. This time we decided to wait. Suddenly, we heard it again. We realised it wasn't the back door, it was the basement door. We both turned to our right, looking directly at the basement door, when it started shaking. Someone was trying to open the door, and they couldn't. They started pounding on it, very aggressively. We screamed and ran to our mother's room. We woke our mom up, and she came downstairs angrily for waking her up. We waited at the top of the stairs for her to check the basement out. She was down there for a few minutes and called us down. There was nothing and no one. There was no way other than the basement door for the kitchen to get into the basement. Since the door was locked, we knew it was a person. They would have been stuck down there. After that morning, we started to make our lunches before going to bed and avoided the basement altogether. About a year later, my brother had a friend over and it happened again. I wasn't there to tell you the story, but now, 13 years later, it hasn't happened again. And yes, my family still lives in that house.
Thank you for the great support, I really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying what I'm doing, why not think about subscribing to my channel? It is free and would help me a great deal.
Grief turned into my horror. My real story. When I was 10 years old, I was home alone with my dad. I didn't know that day would split my life into a before and after. I remember the house being too quiet, the air feeling heavy, like something was wrong before I even understood it. When I found him, he was already gone. He had died from a drug overdose. I was just a kid, standing there, frozen, trying to understand why my dad wouldn't wake up. That image never left me. A few days later, after the shock settled into something hollow and aching, I became desperate for answers. I wanted to know where he went. I wanted proof that he was still somewhere. I tried scrying in a mirror with a picture of him, staring into my own reflection until my eyes burned, hoping I would feel him, hear him, anything. But the mirror stayed empty, silent, cold. After that, things changed. At night, I started seeing a dark shadow in my room. It wasn't just trick of the light or a shape in the corner of my eye. It felt aware, watching. The air would suddenly feel thick, like I couldn't breathe right. My dog would stiffen, then start barking and growling at the same empty space, his hair standing right up. That scared me more than anything, because animals don't imagine things. I would pull the blankets over my head, heart pounding, convinced that if I stayed still enough, it wouldn't notice me. The shadow kept coming back, night after night. Sometimes it felt like it was standing near my bed. Sometimes it was slowly moving closer. I stopped sleeping. I dreaded nighttime. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and moved into my sister's Brittany room, just so I would be alone. Even then, I never really felt safe. Losing my dad was terrifying, but what came after made the house feel haunted by grief, fear, and something I still can't explain. And part of me wonders if trying to reach across that lane opened a door that never fully closed. Come on everybody, get your finger out. I know you want to hear these stories. Here are some more videos for you to enjoy. Come on guys.